Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and today we are looking at Haxorus. This Pokemon, I feel, is just being really overshadowed by Garchomp and is still a very, very strong Pokemon. Its ability, Mold Breaker, really makes up for a lot of the weaknesses that it has, and it's not necessarily straight-up weaknesses that make it less desirable. It's just slightly less speed and slightly less defenses, and I guess hit points overall, but for the most part, Haxorus just hits harder, has a nice little way of getting great coverage, and its ability makes it to where it's just outright insane. If you Life Orb a Haxorus and use Earthquake on a Rotom Wash, that's a one-hit KO because that Mold Breaker ignores Levitate, which means now you can actually Earthquake those levitating Pokemon and get huge amounts of damage onto them. Haxorus also has a lot of other coverage. Don't pay too much attention to Dragon Tail. I'm just trying to fit in all the moves that you can put on it right now. Low Kick is something it's really good at having because it's a good fighting coverage move, and it just really hits those heavy steel type Pokemon hard, and it does a lot of damage. You also have Brick Break, and I believe it has Reversal as well. Depending on which set you're playing, Reversal can be very strong because it judges off of how low your hit points are. So we have Life Orb. It boosts its already pretty absurd attack by a lot because 30%. And with the Life Orb, I'd recommend running a Jolly Nature. That way you're going to have some good outspeed potential, still a huge amount of offensive capabilities, and then Life Orb just boosts that. As for coverage, Dragon Claw, other than Dragon Tail, I just like Dragon Tail because it forces the target to switch to a random ally. Now this means if the opponent's Pokemon is setting up or is already set up quite a bit, you can just remove that and do a lot of damage in return. Now, it isn't the best that, if you don't want to worry about disrupting your opponent, Dragon Claw is for sure. I just like having it because with Life Orb, you're not locked down. Haxorus is really good at having choice items. Choice Scarf or Choice Band works really well. It can also be Focus Sash, Lumburied. A lot of options here with Haxorus on the items. And when you're going with the Life Orb, you can keep your options open. If you feel that your opponent isn't going to be able to turn around one-hit KO on you, but they are threatening to set up, Dragon Tail them away, and then you might be faster for the next Pokemon that comes in. Since it does randomly switch, you might be able to get some free damage off of just the benefit of getting that random switch. Other options, Choice Scarf. Choice Scarf is going to be with that Adamant nature. 432 attack is absurd. With that Scarf, you're also getting to about 400 speed as well. That's crazy. Actually, you're getting over 400 speed. So yeah, this Pokemon's going to be really speedy, and you're just going to choose something like Dragon Claw. I think in this situation, Outrage works. I don't really recommend Outrage because of Fairy-type Pokemon. If you're using Outrage, all the opponent has to do is understand, oh, he's using Outrage. Just switch into a Fairy-type Pokemon and start setting up, and then it's pretty much free switches from there. Also, just the chance of getting confused and hurting yourself really hard, I think that's a bit too risky, so I think that Dragon Claw with Haxorus' absurd amount of damage does put out really well, and that Outrage is overkill to a degree. Now you can't have it on Choice Scarf since you're locked into a Dragon move regardless, and it's just making you have a super speedy, super damaging Outrage. Try to go for 1-2 KOs before you have the risk of getting confused, and even then you probably have the potential to switch out, reset your Scarf, and all that. Haxorus is also very strong because of Focus Sash and Lumberry. People do a Dragon Dance set, and you can have Focus Sash or Lumberry. I just recommend Focus Sash because I don't like getting one-hit KO'd and then ruining everything from that. Sure, Focus Sash won't proc all the time, but it is very helpful for the times that it does proc. And then this is showing other options in your moveset. Rock Slide's a good option. I like Poison Jab for fairies. You can still keep Low Kick. He also gets Superpower, so if you like that old Mold Breaker, Earthquake seems really strong, and Dragon Claw for the stab. So this is kind of your swing move. What do you want here? Do you want rock coverage? Do you want fighting coverage? Poison coverage? Here's where Reversal could be incredibly strong because more power, less hit points you have left. Well, if your Focus Sash procs, you get a Dragon Dance. Now your stats are going to look ridiculous. Over 400 speed. that attack is well over 600. And now you're going to be using a huge Reversal, huge Earthquake, huge Dragon Claw. So it does create a lot of options, and it does just have a ton of strength behind it, which is why I don't understand why people aren't using Haxorus as much. That, if you're running the Jolly Nature, you're able to outspeed Adamant Garchomps, which is a huge plus, and that it does have that ability to take out Rotoms. It does have the ability of just being really strong. That if you have Lumberry on Haxorus, you can safely switch into a Rotom. Earthquake isn't a one-hit KO from full health on a Rotom, though. So that's something to take into consideration. But if you have a Lumberry, you can eat up a hit, Earthquake, and then just go in for another Earthquake or some other kind of move. And it's really safe. So it does have a huge amount of damage. More offenses than Garchomp. Let's go pull up Garchomp here really quick. And we can just kind of make some comparisons. So, I mean, 102 speed, 303 speed compared to 298. So if you're running Jolly and the opponent's Garchomp is Adamant, you're going to be able to chip into them really hard. You are losing a stab boost on the Earthquake, but you are trading that for hitting Levitate Pokemon, which I feel is a good trade-off. Your offensive bulk is much higher, 359 compared to 393 with no investment, or like no beneficial nature, and just a lot of options. Garchomp kind of runs the same way as well. You have Focus Sash, Choice Band, Choice Scarf, Life Orb, all sorts of things like that. But with Haxorus, you know, you can get a lot more reliable damage. You can make it a stronger Pokemon, and I feel that, you know, a lot of people pack Ice. They're ready for Garchomp and stuff. That with Haxorus, it might just be a bit more of a Pokemon that you can set up and start overrunning higher, tankier threats. You also have that fighting coverage, which is very nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching.